So you wanna be a 3D printing entrepreneur? Well, guess what? So does everybody else who has a 3D printing skill set, access to a 3D printer, and some experience using CAD software, computer-aided design programs. Although it's a highly competitive field, it doesn't mean that it's still not a lucrative one in this day and age. So in this video, I'm going to describe a multitude of methods for making money 3D printing. And this isn't just for aspiring entrepreneurs or passionate entrepreneurs, it's also for just the people who are looking to make some residual income with their skill set, or eventually want to open up their own shops or be for freelance contractors to others and service others in the 3D printing industry. So if you disagree with any of these methods that we'll discuss, please comment in the comment section. And if you think of another method that I haven't listed, please mention that as well. So let's get right to it, shall we? Let's 3D print some money figuratively. Prototyping. So a prototype is basically a preliminary model of an idea someone has that they're trying to bring to real life, and you're able to create that physical form by way of 3D printing. Now, prototyping, let me ask you this question. If you thought of a novel idea, a very innovative, improved upon version of something that's existing, or maybe just a brand new idea, who would you turn to create a rough draft real-life model of your idea? I don't know, and you probably don't know either, because there is no great brand or recognizable business that creates these prototypes. It's typically these businesses that tailor to the more bigger companies, and they charge exorbitant amounts. But for the average person or a small business, it's very, very expensive to go that route, which is why if you have a 3D printing skill set, and you let the local businesses around you know, in various industries, whether it's jewelry, medicine, automobile, virtually all industries utilize prototypes. So if you let them know of your skill set, when these people have an idea, they will reach out to you to design this idea in 3 dimensions, and then to print this idea with the materials that they would like you to print with, and they can have a proof of concept which they can then take to investors or iterate and make it better and make a finalized product, or just have it so that they could use it for themselves, tools and stuff like that. Prototyping is awesome because you're not just making money off of 3D printing, you're making money off of your ability to design in 3 dimensions. And since a lot of times that takes a lot of time, you can charge accordingly. So it's actually probably the more lucrative way, the most lucrative method of making money 3D printing is prototyping. If you're unfamiliar with the benefits of prototyping, using 3D printing technology, rapid prototyping is one of them. And it allows for very quick turnaround time and making tweaks to designs to keep improving upon the idea. Also, when you're sitting down with your client, and the benefit that you have in your local community, which you should pitch to, you should let the local businesses, the local rich people in your area or people that are innovating, you should let them know, because you always have the advantage versus other companies if you're able to meet with them face to face, and they can sit down with you and you could really talk out their ideas. You can let them know if the idea is feasible or not. A lot of times you have more of an understanding of, from an engineering standpoint or architectural standpoint or just a design standpoint, because you're well versed in 3D printing, what works and what doesn't work, so you can help them in the feasibility department. Product iteration is very, very important, and that is usually a person has an idea, you help create it for them, but then the both of you can improve upon the idea, because once you actually have the physical model and you're playing around with it and you're trying to see if it's effective at solving the problem you're trying to solve, you can improve upon the design. Also, it's very cost effective for both parties actually, because To make a tweak, to improve upon the product, all you need to do is go back into the existing design, tweak a few things, and reprint it, versus recreating it from scratch, which a lot of these prototype companies that aren't using 3D printing, that's why they charge a lot of money, because they're starting things from scratch. The other thing is a lot of times the whole objective of creating a prototype is to eventually sell it to an investor. So you can not just do a prototype, which is a preliminary design, but you can create a final model of it as well. So there's various approaches to utilizing prototyping in making money 3D printing. And so we work in the medical space, and we get approached by a lot of dentists, periodontists, surgeons, orthopedic professionals who are always coming up with these various new ideas, and they want us to create, like I mentioned, a proof of concept. Because they have the idea, they don't necessarily have the background to design it, they don't know what works, what doesn't work in the real world, and that's where we come in, and it's a very, very lucrative space for us. You can go the route of designing your own product line and then selling this to others, whether it's online or in retail stores. So online, there's actually a lot of people that are doing this. If you go on Shopify or Etsy, eBay, even Shapeways, you will see that there's a lot of 3D printed items that are selling quite well actually, and people are making decent margins on their models. So the nice thing about it is that you can completely control your supply chain and the demand and supply aspect of it. Because what happens a lot of time if someone else is creating your products is you have a buildup of inventory, and then you can't sell all those items because you were almost estimating how much you should order. You were trying to take advantage of economies of scale by ordering a lot so that it's cheaper, and then it turns out you were only able to sell 50% of it, and now you're losing out on a bunch of materials, time, and money. Again, the nice thing about 3D printing your own product line is that the demand comes in, you can quickly print it out, ship it out, and you're good to go. The retail side of it is sometimes a little more tricky, because if there's coffee shops, if there's stores that are selling your product on their shelves, the disadvantage is obviously they're going to take a chunk of your profits, and your margins will be worse because they're doing a lot of the work, where they're selling it, they're housing it in the store that they're paying for, everything else. The advantage is that if it's local, you're really saving on shipping costs, because you don't have to package it, you don't have to pay UPS or FedEx or USPS to ship out your items. You're basically just driving it over, leaving it there, and whatever they sell, you get a percentage of. I always think that it makes sense to do both, because a lot of times, especially if you have a unique product and it's selling, if people are buying it on the retail level, they're likely, when they go to rebuy, to just search for it online, and then they'll hit one of your online stores and purchase it from there. So it's almost, think of retail as a form of advertising your online store as well. And typically online it's going to be cheaper than retail, because the retail outlets kind of bump up the price so that it makes sense for everyone to make money, including you and the individual selling the products. So that's the design your own product line side of making money 3D printing. So I think that now would be an appropriate time to discuss intellectual property issues in 3D printing. So 3D printing is definitely a disruptive technology in the sense of how manufacturing is done, how businesses go about doing their business. It's also, however, disruptive in the intellectual property realm. It's very, very easy nowadays, unless you have a recognizable brand and strong awareness, to have someone else steal your designs, unfortunately. For a skilled designer, they can easily replicate anything you see on my desk, anything you see in your office, in your kitchen, can easily be redesigned and distributed the next day. There's actually scanners, 3D scanners, that can scan objects like this in a matter of minutes, and they will have a design with surgical precision identical to this, and you can basically print virtually any object and almost replicate it identically. The issue with this is that traditionally you would protect yourself by obtaining a patent. However, patents are expensive and a tedious process, but even if you do attain one, like a design patent, let's say I attain the design patent on this object right here, all I would have to do is recreate this object but tweak one or two things, and then it doesn't fall under me infringing on that design patent. So I can technically just add like another ridge here and start printing these and selling them online. We've seen this with fidget spinners, we see this with a lot of fad items. People are knocking them off and starting to sell them. There is something called utility patent, which is a little harder to replicate, but utility patents are very, very expensive, and it has to be a very novel idea that no one else has came up with in the past. So one thing I want to mention is that even if someone is stealing your idea and they're infringing on your patent, it's very, very difficult to go into the patent litigation process. It's very time consuming, it can be very costly, and the amount of money you will win, even if the individual or company is infringing on your product, is very, very small. So it's definitely an issue in this space. Copycats are always in various countries and in America. They are always ripping off other people's designs. They're spreading around the designs, and it's hard to monitor who's using the designs. So if the end user, like let's say I print something that an artist came up with, some unique sculpture, let's take Pokemon for example. I start printing all these like Pokemon figurines. I can technically have them set up on my desk and have them at home. Pokemon will never find out that that's occurring, and I'm not really infringing on anything because it's for self-use, I'm not selling it, but Pokemon would be, or the company that owns Pokemon would be losing out on the sales that I would have purchased from them. So it's something to consider if you're thinking of creating your own product line and selling, is intellectual property does become an issue. So make sure that if you do create something and you start selling it in your own store, wherever it is, that you have strong brand awareness and the product is unique, so you have a competitive advantage and it's not as easy to steal, replicate, and sell. Another way that you can profit from 3D printing is by being a service shop in your community. What that basically entails is you having a functional 3D printer and the capability to print quality items. Once you can do that, you can let all the libraries, vocational schools, gifted kids programs, engineering clubs, entrepreneurship meetups, robust small businesses, affluent people in your community know of your capabilities, and I assure you that you're going to get orders coming in, because people that design something in 3D and want to have it printed, they reach out to there's only a select few companies out there that do it, and they charge such a premium to take their designs, print the actual object, and ship it out to them. And so if you undercut that price and you're doing it in a timely manner and the client is happy, not only will you make a nice profit off of it, but those happy clients are going to refer you to their friends, to other people they know that are interested in your services. And you'll be so surprised to see how one or two small opportunities can lead to bigger and bigger opportunities, and as long as you keep doing a quality job, you're gonna keep seeing orders and new clients. Another relatively lucrative venue to apply your 3D printing skill set would be the education sector. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to mean be a college professor, because in all honesty, unfortunately, adjunct professors make very little money. Unless you're a full-time professor, it might not make sense to apply your 3D printing skill set that way. What I would highly recommend is doing workshops in 3D printing. There's surprisingly a lot of demand for it, and there's not a lot of people doing it. You should talk to your local schools, libraries, definitely rec centers. They're always looking for a way to fill up their programs, and you can easily get kids and parents alike motivated in participating in a 3D printing workshop. These kids, 3D printing isn't going anywhere, so when they're ready to enter the workforce, although 3D printing will be evolved at that point, they'll definitely be interacting with this emerging technology. Also, and probably the most important, is that you're inspiring the next generation of 3D printing enthusiasts and entrepreneurs. And what's more rewarding or meaningful than that? So definitely look into educational opportunities. So this next one is most likely the most lucrative per hour way to make a profit 3D printing. And that is to become a 3D printing technology consultant. There are many people in the space that are familiar with 3D printing, but they still definitely need the guidance. There's small businesses that are looking to streamline their supply chain process. There's other people that are just looking to set up a 3D printing shop or even a home facility, and they need guidance on what kind of printers, what kind of software to use, how viable and feasible their ideas are. And the wonderful thing about this is it's very, very time friendly for you, because all you're doing is consulting. You're not actually doing the gritty work of setting things up or spending countless hours designing things on CAD and going back and forth until they're happy with it. You're basically just spreading the knowledge that's in here and helping them out based on your experience. The other great thing is that you can connect clients to sellers and manufacturers. So when you are talking to these small businesses or libraries that are trying to set up a 3D printing space, or schools, you can connect them to the actual manufacturers of these printers and of the CAD software, and if they make the purchases, you can actually earn commission from these companies. And the nice thing about that is that you're not a direct employee of the company, so there's not some like quota you have to meet and you're under pressure to, make all these sales happen. You can basically, just when it does happen, extra stream of revenue that comes your way. Why not? So consulting is definitely something to look into. Another route that you can take that's often overlooked is creating a beneficial business model and filing as a nonprofit. Now, many people erroneously feel that a nonprofit doesn't really make money because of nonprofit, but it's actually a false assumption. Both the company and the employees of a nonprofit are allowed to make just as much as you and I can make working for a for-profit company, as long as it's a reasonable amount. So if you're an accountant at a nonprofit, you can't make $1.5 million a year if that's not generally occurring in the for-profit businesses. So there's many nonprofits in the 3D printing space. There's nonprofits that print prosthetics. There's sustainable housing nonprofits that print these amazing houses in the Ukraine and Africa, places where it's an issue, housing is an issue. There's also a lot of teaching institutions that are nonprofits, so you could take your 3D printing skill set in that direction. So as long as you are fall under the categories that you're allowed to file for as a nonprofit, there's a lot of advantages that are associated with it. One is the tax exempt status. This is an advantage because donors are incentivized to give you donations, and it helps them on taxes. It's almost like a tax write-off. You don't have to pay taxes on your revenue, which means any surplus of revenue, you can funnel those profits back into the business. So you're reinvesting in your business, and that can be quite helpful, especially if you're starting out. There's also government grants that you can file for. There's scholarships. A lot of big companies like Target, Walmart, whatever big companies are in your area, they host these contests that they give away $10,000 prizes, $50,000 prizes, $100,000 prizes to entrepreneurs, small businesses that have a beneficial idea, and they help them get off the ground or just keep it going. It's part of the company's Corporate social responsibility is why they do it, to almost seem like they're being helpful, supporting and fostering new businesses in the area. So one way to find out which companies are hosting this is to find out which big companies have corporate offices in your state, and then look up online and see which contests they are running, because they do give away a lot of money actually. And the entrepreneurs that know about this, they file for a lot of them, and they make a significant amount raising money through that. So nonprofits, benefit corporations, definitely something to think about, and definitely a viable option to make a profit. This next way of profiting from 3D printing is one that we have personally taken advantage of and have had success in the space, so we definitely wanted to share it with you guys. Small businesses take great pride in their brand, from the logo to the slogan to anything else that is a trademark of theirs. So if you help small businesses market their brand, you can create logans and their slogans in 3 dimensions. You can be a part of their promotional and advertising campaigns, which can land you large orders, because some of these are pretty big actually. And this involves keychains, logo ornaments, refrigerator magnets, small gadgets, and as long as you could figure out a way to do it at a cost that makes sense for you, but you're not charging them a lot of money so that they can't get it like much cheaper at Vistaprint, it's actually a great way to make money. And if you do it for 1 or 2 small businesses, you'll eventually get more orders, and then you are going to create credibility in that space. And the idea is that the longer you do it and the more clients you've done it for, you're going to have the medium-sized companies start approaching you, and maybe you can even land the gig with one of the bigger companies, and that would be amazing. So promoting for small businesses is great, because you're not just promoting their business, you're also promoting your business at the same time. So technically everyone wins here. And one thing to keep in mind is that when you're pitching to businesses, they're very busy and they hear all these different pitches all the time. You have to become accustomed and used to hearing no. Every successful entrepreneur in business is built on tolerating failures and rejections. It's the key ingredients to success. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there, and definitely hit up the small businesses in your area. We're at the end of this video. You know what that means. I have to do the typical YouTube thing where I ask you guys to subscribe and like the video and everything else. I mean, all jokes aside, it does help. This is the first very long, I guess, video that I'm putting out on YouTube, and I'd love to make more of these and share some of my insights as an entrepreneur. I'm always learning. I'm by no means an expert in this field, but I hope some of these suggestions were useful for you guys. I'm very curious on your thoughts. If you agree, if you disagree with some of the things that I mentioned, if I missed out an idea that you feel works and should definitely be included, please do reply in the comment section, and I would love to put that in. I'm thinking of updating this video yearly as more and more opportunities to make money in the 3D printing space arise. I want to keep it updated. So hopefully with your help, people watch this, I get subscribers and a little bit of I guess awareness of this YouTube channel as well. This channel is not just about 3D printing. There's going to be motivational entrepreneurship type stuff here. PromoAmbitions, the company I am the founder of, we deal with web design and online marketing, so there will be some tutorials about that. So if you're interested in any of that stuff, definitely do subscribe as well. And one thing I want to mention is that if you feel intimidated by watching this, when I was starting out, that was something that I was struggling with. I would learn these beginner CAD programs, and then I would learn how to design on intermediate programs, and it was difficult at first, and then I'd be happy with it. Then I'd see all these advanced tutorials on Fusion 360 and Maya and Rhino, and I would get discouraged, and I would think, wow, this is way over my head. And I would be printing with MakerBot printers, Fusion 360 printers, and I'd be running into all these issues, and I didn't know how to calibrate the printers properly. And I, in all honesty, wanted to quit many times throughout this whole journey. But every time I wanted to quit, I thought to myself, this is exactly the point where most of my competition throws in the towel and calls it a day. And if I persevere through these emotions that I'm feeling and just grit through and keep at it, keep learning, keep printing, keep faking it till I'm making it, right? It'll be worth it. And I can comfortably say today that now it's not so much a struggle. I actually enjoy my work. I enjoy designing for clients. I enjoy printing. I enjoy seeing my creation in real life. And I definitely enjoy getting paid for my services. So hopefully after you watch this video, you derive some inspiration and get some ideas on how to monetize your 3D printing skill set. And yeah, please leave your comments in the comment section. I'll try to reply to everyone. And I'm curious on your thoughts, whether you want to troll on it or you want to give me actual helpful advice. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes of it. So thank you for your time. I know this was a long video, and hopefully it's more videos, and I wish you guys great success on your journey. And don't sit on your skills too long is what I want to end with, because there's a lot of people out there that are very gifted, but they're just, for some reason, they don't get going. And I would take the first steps and start your journey. And you never know where you end up. Maybe you'll be making this video next year, and I'll be watching it and gaining some inspiration from you.